You can make it super simple, and then you're going to have winners and losers. You want to have ultimately a program that incentivizes productivity and wants to encourage innovation and really reward that. But if it's entirely merit-based, I mean, we're not selling, widgets on the internet or over the phones, and it's all commission-based or something like that. But so you want to have some sort of incentive for the star performer. I hate that word, but star performer type employees, that they feel like, man, I got rewarded because I was being grind all day every day and I really work hard, and somebody takes notice of that. And so but then usually it's their supervisor is the one that's going to rate them. And if you have a program that's all it is, then you'll have some supervisors that'll just say, all my people are perfect, because they think they all need a raise. And so it's, you know what I mean? And then it boils down there. So you have to have a good, I'm telling you that it's like, what's the best form of government, right? Capitalism is the worst one, except for every other type of, not capitalism is a form of government, but you know what I mean. So it's the same thing with a pay scale. A stepping grade like the federal government had for all those years, you just simply had to have a pulse and still work there. And that's a huge disincentive for somebody who's a hard worker. When the guy next to him that shows up half an hour late, is faking sick all the time and all that stuff, gets the same raise, they're like, why do I even try? And now they stop working as hard.
But on the other hand, if I've been here 30 years,
but you
and
need to reward
off the street and we're getting paid the same,
right?
So it's a balancing act. I mean,
and that happens too. And it's like, what the heck?
School district,
I've been loyal.
You have steps and grades. Some are based on longevity. Some are based on continuing education, so that there's a way to move across. And then job performance. Yep. So if you could make...
In my estimation, if you make a hybrid system and it's not too difficult to implement, it's tied to, there's some incentive for you to perform, and yet we do reward longevity because, I mean, like it or not, every time we lose an employee and start over from scratch, we lose a whole bunch of institutional knowledge and a whole bunch of, like, where else are somebody learning how to do, patch sealing on a road or something like that? They're probably not going to come into this position already knowing that. And once they know that and become proficient at that, and to become proficient at running equipment, and that's just, I'm talking about public works, anything, and then we lose that and have to start over again, the amount of money that costs the city from a training aspect and all that. So you do want to reward longevity, but it can't be entirely based on longevity.
That, of course not.
Right.
They've got to have continuing education, their job evaluations, all of those have to be mixed in.
So yeah, I can come up with something like that. There's going to be a lot of work with data to kind of set the ranges, and then everybody is going to be in their range where we place them. And I think that there was a fair amount of work that went into figuring the ranges for those that were kind of here and a little bit in the mix. I don't know if it was selecting it based on their current pay, or if there was some sort of methodology there. But we want to make sure that people's job descriptions are right and that they're in the correct place they should be. But there again, it's what do you do moving forward?
So are we deciding if we're wanting a committee or not a committee?
Well, that's
because then I've got a question.
The structure discussion is to how we're going to set up the committee. But okay. I'm saying we don't even have to have a committee. I mean, I don't care. Whatever.
Okay, so according to September 14th, our last city council meeting, I'm going to quote, Dan suggested the following people be on the committee: Mayor Halterman, Dan, Kelly Bassett, Judy Shears, and 2 city council members. He said the committee will engage with department heads one-on-one as needed. He said this is important for employees to know what to expect moving forward, all that we've discussed. Councilmember Downey and Councilmember Burton volunteered to be on the committee. So I'm not asking Dan, but I'm asking the council members to my left, what is the problem?
The problem
that the 2 of you are on the committee.
There isn't a problem with the two. There's a problem with the one council member that made the statement that they didn't meet the candidate night that shows his bias against employees.
Okay, so you're fine.
What?
So my thing is why was that not brought up in a public meeting while we were deciding this instead of after the city council meeting? Because that makes me upset that I am being told that I have to be on this committee, and I physically do not have the time to be on this committee, therefore I did not volunteer for it for that specific reason. So I hate being dragged in to all this crap when we're adults. I don't know why we can't talk it out.
We can talk it out.
But we didn't.
Well, obviously you didn't.
But-
I was
but
Sharon,
I'm one-
please. I was contacted after and told or asked to remove myself from that committee. And that was done after the three of you met in a quorum after this meeting out in this hall.
No, we did not.
And
We did.
you made a decision that I could not be on that committee and that you requested and inferred and imposed that decision on the city manager. And I was asked to step down and have Rochelle on that committee. And the three of you did make that
We did not meet together. We
I-
did not meet together.
Then what do you call when you're out in the hall making these decisions?
The three of us were not
No,
together.
we were
David.
not together, David.
We know the rules too.
Well,
Not to.
I
But
have
David,
issue,
you
but
need
the
to
point is, I take issue, I'm as objective as anybody in this situation, more so. If you think I'm not gonna be fair because your wives are working for the city, that is erroneous. I am the most objective, fair individual
Then why
there is.
did you make this statement?
Excuse me, Jim.
Okay.
I treat this business, I treat this city like a business, and I've not held back from that, and put the citizens of this town first. And for you to decide that I can't do that, I take issue.
You decided that when you attacked our office staff and you said, quote, "We need to give them more work because they don't take pride in their job."
I think you need to readdress that. That isn't a quote. I said there need to be more unity, and that was the change.
No, you did not.
Well, then I guess we have differences on what we, think that was the correct,
Absolutely.
verbiage. But that's something, when you'll take an issue with a statement and something like a meet the candidates and carry this forth in your subjectivity, you can't be objective in your position.
That's why we are not involved.
But you did involve yourself. That's the problem I'm having, is you did involve yourself. You're saying that you didn't, but you did.
We were basing it off, okay.
So look at me in the eye and don't lie to me, because I know
whoa!
I know
Whoa.
you guys met out in the hall. I saw you.
We were out there, yes. Just like you guys meet and discuss things, we talk about things.
I don't meet
We
with
did
more
not
than
have a
three
quorum. We made specific that one was at the end of the hall and the other was at the other end. Okay, Rochelle?
No, I'm not listening to it, because you're not being honest. You are not being honest, and I'm not gonna sit here.
I'm not sure where to go from here. I mean, my concern is that we do have an issue, and even a statement of having an issue doesn't change that there is an over-involvement in even having a committee to even talk about step and grade is just very concerning for me. Because we're not even talking about employee evaluations, we're just talking about forming a committee to have discussions. And when I found out the meeting was gonna be after hours, basically, because that would cause people who were involved in that committee to work after hours to be there, the staff. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me, that we would take something that could function and bring it into potentially overtime hours or a disruption of schedule. There's just a lot to unpack here, and I'm not sure where to go with this.
Well, I think that, I agree, there's definitely, like I think I said it really diplomatically, some concerns, about the makeup of the committee and the overall approach. Obviously, there's division in the approach. I think that the one way to go about it is to either, not have a committee or have it be entirely administrative and then come back. Or again, we have Robert's rules. As much as this is really uncomfortable, I think that debating, having a healthy debate, and it's tough when it's really personal, and it is on all sides, that we either debate, or if there is not an agreement, then we act the way a deliberative body does, and we make motions and counter motions and vote and move on. So I don't know. That's why I kind of threw that out there. I'm open to doing it if it is going to be have friction. What I don't want to do is I don't want to drag the employees through a political process. If there's a chance that getting into when we get down to brass tacks as we're kind of deliberating on that, if there's a lot of friction like that, it's not going to work. So that's why I threw that out there, knowing that there was some real strong opinions on both sides on this. But so whatever you want to do.
I mean, from where I sit, we have 2 council members that have a conflict, so we have 3 council members that can weigh in on this.
Well, you know my feelings. I feel like it should stand the way that it was 2 weeks ago. And that's my own personal opinion.
Then make the motion.
I make a motion in the step and grade committee structure discussion that we go with the committee members as Mayor Halterman, Dan Jessen, Callie Bassett, Judy Shears, Councilmember Downey, and Councilmember Burton.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
I abstain.
No.
Okay, we have 2 ayes, 1 nay, and 2 abstains. So motion carries.
No, that is incorrect. There are not 3 affirmative votes on the council. Therefore, the motion is defeated.
Well, it takes a quorum of 3, right?
It takes, a quorum is 3.
That's what I'm saying. It takes
Okay.
3 to
But
pass something, right?
abstentions are counted as,
No votes.
and you have to have 3 affirmative votes on
So
a
it
5.
dies. That's why I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying, so we had 2 affirmatives and it takes 3 since there's a quorum of 5.
The mayor can't vote.
Only to break a tie.
So we can't move forward and form this committee.
That motion dies for lack of 3
Affirmative votes.
affirmative votes. Am I right, Scott?
Well, I haven't dealt with this in a long time, and I attend a lot of meetings too. Abstaining, I'm a 5-member board. My understanding is abstaining is a non-vote, and as long as there is a quorum present, which is 3 out of 5, that the vote is 2 to 1. But if you want me to to research it. That's my understanding. Usually a quorum is whether or not there are enough members present, which makes up a majority of the body. So, stated another way, if there were 3 council members here, and there are 5, and 2 abstaining, means it's a non-vote. I'm not voting because I have a conflict. Frankly, under the laws of the state of Utah, as I read them, notwithstanding the very clear issue of nepotism, and I understand and respect the reason that you would abstain. You know, if my mother were on the council, whether she liked me or not, dealing with my salary, she would abstain because the appearance alone just looks bad, you know. But under the law, you can declare a conflict of interest and still vote in Utah, but most people that would have a conflict of this level, i.e., e.g., a spouse that works for the city, and now we're dealing with direct payment or remuneration to an employee, related, the spouse of a council person, that's about as close as you get. And so, you know, if I had to put my nickel down tonight, my opinion would be there is a quorum, because there's 5 of you here, all 5 of you, 2 abstain, and 3 of the 5 voted. And so the public policy behind the law is that you don't have 2 people vote for a council of 5 people. So you looking at Robert's Rules of Order?
No, the duties and powers of the Utah Literacy and Integrity Law.
It looked like a phone book to me. I can look at it if you want to move on to another agenda item, or...
Yeah, or we could recess or move on, whatever, and then come back to it.
Okay, so we will for now move on beyond that item. We are moving now, kind of, would I move out of action into work then?
Yeah, I mean, we can come back if you wanna table it and come back
Okay,
in this meeting.
so now we need to move into the work meeting. And item number 13 is...
Did you want us to table it,
Oh,
Dan?
I...
It says
It's-
here, it says a quorum must be present at the meeting before any action of the governing body can be taken, with the exception that less than a quorum, and it talks about adjournment. A quorum is defined by state law in a 7-member or in a 5-member as 3 members being present. So that's a quorum, 3 of the 5. I don't see anywhere where you have to have 3 votes or 3 of the, that would require a majority. You could have a quorum present, but then you're saying you have to have a unanimous vote in order to pass something. Right?
Yep.
And I'm not sure that's the law.
So, this is from Robert's Rules of Orders, voting on a motion. Majority vote. Are we majority vote, or we're not 2/3 vote, we're majority vote? The basic requirement for the adoption of a motion by its members with the quorum is a majority vote. A majority is more than half of the votes cast by persons legally entitled to vote after taking blank votes and abstentions into account. Majority does not mean 51%. Example, in a situation with 1,000 votes, the majority equals 501 votes. Not 51%, which is 510. Well, that's obvious. So 1 more than half is what it means. That doesn't do any good. And then it doesn't go into details. This is a cheat sheet. That doesn't help.
And there should also be an updated manual, because the league releases a new manual every year.
But Robert's rules is not a sanctioned, approved
Well, the city
procedure.
adopted, amended, or it says that we've adopted,
There isn't any municipality in the state that has adopted it.
not fully, no, we follow, it
It's
says
a
in our codes.
guideline.
Yeah. I've always thought in order to pass something, you need the majority of the quorum present to pass it.
And then
And if somebody abstains,
it's counted as a no vote.
it's a no vote, it's not a positive vote.
Yeah.
I think the threshold is 3 votes to pass something.
The legal definition of a quorum, it deals with who shows up at the meeting, who is present,
Right.
a quorum.
So we have
Meaning a
5.
Yeah, and so that,
Right.
and we have a quorum. We have 3,
But even if we only had 3,
that's a quorum.
wouldn't it still take 3 votes to pass something?
Well, that's the.
That's the question.
Bar, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what Jim's handed me says, that abstaining is a no vote. So, by abstaining, they're saying they vote no, so,
Because it's not an affirmative vote.
well, correct, but it kind of vitiates the conflict of interest issue, and saying I abstain, that means I vote no. I mean.
But if it was,
Yeah.
if it was the same thing, if it was for a pay raise and we abstained,
That would
Says-
be
it would be a no vote.
right. I guess the real issue is, one, you've already heard that the makeup of the committee is an administrative issue. I'm not even sure why we're voting on this. I mean, frankly, my recommendation is that the city manager and staff have the authority and ability to make up.
Well, and that's why I said, that's why we didn't put it to a vote last time, because it's an administrative process. It's just at the end of this thing, it's 100% legislative. And that's why I wanted buy-in.
I mean,
So according to Robert's rules, it does say abstentions don't count and do not affect the outcome of the vote. They're not a yay or a nay. So we definitely need to get to the bottom of that for any meeting. We need to know that, because, I mean, you could abstain, which just means no.
I've never heard of abstaining means a no vote.
And
It
there's,
says right in there that according to the,
I know, but I read a lot.
But it's not a vote. It's not a negative vote. It's
No, but-
not a
it's a
vote.
non-vote.
it's a non-vote, but it takes 3 affirmative votes to pass an ordinance.
But I guess the question is, why are we even voting on it, like Mr. Burns says? And we agreed on this on September 14th, and that should have been the end of it. But you 3 decided it was not the end of it, and
Oh.
not in a public meeting, in the presence of a city council
Now, David-
or anything. No, you did. You decided I was not to be on that committee, and I was to remove myself.
We
And
asked,
that was there was a decision among the 3 of you. That's a decision. And that constitutes a quorum, if you want to get into all this.
no, we did not meet, David.
Well, then I guess we're all hallucinating and we just...
No, David, now you know, your private meetings with the mayor, with those kinds of things, discussing things,
It's
we-
not a quorum.
No, and we did not make a quorum. We made specific,
I may be stupid, but I can count to 3.
David, we were not together discussing. Make a motion again. Can you honestly and truthfully say that you will be unbiased and treat the employees of Parowan City fairly?
Yes.
Make a
Yes.
motion. I move that
can
we...
and I will.
I move that we establish a step-in grade committee structure based on the members, Judy, Callie, Councilman Burton, Councilwoman Downey, and any other members of Parowan City that the city manager designates to be on the committee.
What's different from what I just,
Not a thing, we're just reintroducing your motion.
and we already voted?
And I'm reintroducing it.
Can you do that?
Can you even,
I don't know that you can
Yes,
do
you
that.
can.
I think
So you feel like that's-
After further deliberation, I think you can absolutely retake it.
Absolutely you can. Does it die for lack of a second?
So I just want to say this, I'm reading a document that, and I haven't been able to establish the truth of it, but the sense of it actually makes sense. If our policy, and I'd like to look and see what it says, which I doubt it goes into this level of detail, says abstentions where a majority vote is required. If we require a majority vote, then the vote that already happened passed. Because the abstentions remove from the numerator and the denominator, and then the majority of the remaining votes would count. If we require a majority vote. If we require a certain, like a 2/3 vote, which is what would happen if you always had 5 members, then that would die because you never got the 3-member threshold.
According to the,
And I don't know which our code says, but literally either of these could be the way it is. I just don't know what ours says, and my guess is it doesn't say. But we already had that vote, and if you're now motioning that and agree to it, then I'm saying that vote could count and we can move on. But if I don't know.
no, the motion was defeated.
There's a motion on the table, so.
There's a motion on the table awaiting a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mayor?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
No, you waiting for
I just,
no?
sorry, my brain just kind of recalculated. Can a person who abstains make a motion?
Yes.
Well,
Can a person who declares a conflict make a motion?
not really, if they're abstaining from the underlying issue, which is they have a spouse that is an employee, but, gosh, sounds like we can do whatever we want tonight.
Okay, any opposed?
Aye, no, yes, whatever it's supposed to be. I'm a no,
Yes, no.
like I did last time.
So we had the same vote twice?
No, I haven't voted.
Right.
But you
Oh, you guys haven't
abstained.
voted, you
Hey,
abstained.
I declared my conflict, I vote yes. There's your 3 votes. You're on the committee.
I don't care whether I'm on the committee
No,
or not.
David-
I just cared about that procedure.
David, that we were very, very clear. We did not meet together.
Okay,
Let's
the
move on.
motion
Let's move on.
carries.
And for clarification, this isn't an ordinance, this is